Morning Warhawks, this is Colonel Wilson again, episode 38 of Freeform Friday here for 37 Training Wing. As always with my wingman, Chief Morgan, we got a couple special guests with us, Sergeant Fowler and Sergeant Cipolla from the 37 Training Support Squadron. You can see combat arms airmen and defenders out here supporting our range mission. But while we are out here this week is we are supporting the ruck for the Memorial Ruck to recognize Police Week, which is taking place this week, 9th through the 15th of May. Always enjoy being a part of Police Week, and we've got defenders through and through, all throughout the 37 Training Wing, all throughout really Joint Base San Antonio. So, gentlemen, thanks so much for putting this on for us. Chief and I got a good sweat going, and I know everybody had a good time. We had defenders from all over the place, and more than just defenders, we just had airmen in general that were out here supporting the event. It was really great. What inspired you guys to put the event on? What does it mean to you? What do you think about Police Week in general?
So Police Week overall to us is just honoring those that have gave their lives, either in action and whatnot. We also have the fallen defenders that we're recognizing, so we're recognizing in honor of them, as well as the civilian police force.
Law enforcement, yeah, for sure. Sergeant Fowler?
So for me, prior to the military, I spent 4 years in civilian law enforcement. So the Police Week's always been a big thing for me, and I'd always like to see the programs go through with it, or see the different events, and just have an opportunity to be a part of it this year and help set up the stage for some of the events. It means a lot to me.
So I had the pleasure of making some of the opening comments before we kicked off, and as I mentioned during that, I grew up a kid of a law enforcement officer myself. My father served over 40 years in law enforcement in one capacity or another, from police departments to sheriff's offices to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. So this is very meaningful for me. I think it's also meaningful for all the events that are going on today to support our law enforcement officers. They protect us day in, day out. I feel very blessed to have them out there covering our sixes, so to speak, Chief, and I'm just really, really fortunate. Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, so anytime we can celebrate our defenders is a good day for me. The defenders themselves, they're the ambassadors of the Air Force. They're the people you see when you come in the gate, and they're the last people you see when you're heading home for the evening. So they represent us well. So anytime we can come out to support them and the missions that they do and the sacrifices that they give is a good day. It was a really good event, and I really like all of the signage along the path that kind of told you a little bit about the fallen defenders that we were trying to remember today. So thank you for putting us on. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, the danger they endure, the risks they take day in, day out while their families are at home. There's definitely a kinship to law enforcement and military. There's no doubt about it. And then when you add the two together and you get our defenders here, incredibly meaningful. Would you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves personally? Where are you from? Tell us about your family. What makes you guys tick?
I'm originally from Michigan, Holly, Michigan. I'm currently married. I have a 8-year-old, about to turn 9 next week, 9-year-old son. His name's Julian.
What's your spouse's name?
Her name's Holly.
Holly?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Holly.
Hi. Hi, Julian.
So originally joined just to serve our country, do something different, and give back as well.
Sense of service. That's why you joined.
Sense of service, yes, sir.
Awesome. Sergeant Fowler?
So my wife, Brittany, she's behind the scenes here. She's been huge in helping us set everything up, being able to resource these signs, find them, and get those out here today. So big shout out to her for that. I have two kids,
thank you.
Ainsley and Avery. I'm originally from Bossier City. My wife's from Texas, so she's glad to be home.
Bossier City, huh?
Yeah, nice.
And not at Barksdale.
No, sir. My wife won that one, so we're here in Texas.
Great. Well, it's wonderful having you guys here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for not only taking care. So the other thing that's interesting about their mission, our Red Hat mission here in the 37 Training Support Squadron, is they support all of our basic military training. We've had Freeform Fridays out here before, so I think a lot of you out there know about that mission set. But they fire in the order of magnitude of 600 to 800 trainees, soon to be airmen a week, so that when they go to their first operational duty assignment, they're ready to go. They're fired. They've already qualified when they get there on their primary weapon system, the M4 typically. So that's pretty cool. You guys are getting ready to field the new platform as well, the M18. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do you guys think about that?
I think it's awesome. Just a new technology moving forward into the future with a new weapon system would be great to learn and get a new skill set on. So.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, thanks again for being out here.
Thanks, sir.
All right, so with a couple other things that are going on around the wing that we'll talk about, COVID vaccinations. Had a lot of questions this week on COVID vaccines. I think the first question is, we are seeing CDC guideline updates that are starting to facilitate the vaccination of 12 to 15-year-olds. So we've had obviously approval for 16 years and older under the emergency order, the emergency authorization. So now they're starting to move out with 12 to 15. Some things, so we had a lot of questions. Hey, can we go ahead and start scheduling our kids for that if we want to, if that's a choice we're wanting to make? The answer is we're not quite there yet. The 59th Medical Wing, the 559th Medical Group, they're going to be coming out and pushing out guidance in terms of how to get your dependents, how to get your children vaccinated. But I don't think they're quite there yet. But as soon as they do, it'll be hitting the social media platforms, and the word will get out that way. But just a great effort. We're vaccinating up. A lot of our trainees are starting to get vaccinated now this week, so that's a big win for the Air Force as we get our basic military trainees vaccinated. And so, good stuff.
All still voluntary though, you know, with the emergency use authorization, it's not a mandatory vaccination as of yet. And you know, our scientists and our medical professionals are still trying to kind of figure out what's the right timeline and mix on that. So I know there's probably some parents who are watching this, so we're not making anyone, it's still voluntary.
100%, 100% voluntary. So it's good. And then along those lines, we actually had the Texas Joint Task Force COVAX that was here last week administering vaccines. They administered 250 vaccines to our permanent party, to tech trainees, to dependents across the board, and they're coming back on the 26th of May, which is great news for us as well. So anybody that's interested in participating in that, it's on the 26th of May. We'll be pushing it out through our various social media platforms. Thanks to our DLI ELC team, they'll be heading that up again for us, so I anticipate it'll be over towards their campus somewhere.
Yeah, most likely Boston. They have a lot of capacity too, so you know, 250 seems like a good number. They could actually done a lot more. So if you're interested, once we get the information out, definitely reach out.
And if you don't want to wait for the 26th of May, you can go on Call the Camo line or go to TRICARE online and schedule your vaccination over at Wolford Hall whenever you'd like to. So that's great. Other things, other notable things, we've got the 37th Training Group Showcase that's coming up this weekend. So that essentially is an effort. We have the most diverse tech training squadron in the Air Force, and we have the largest tech training squadron in the Air Force with the Defenders, and the 343rd Training Squadron is our Defenders, and the 344 Training Squadron, which is the most diverse. It's got like 19, 16, 17, 18, 19 AFSCs. In addition to that, we also have our military working dogs. We're the executive agent for all DoD when it comes to military working dogs. We're going to be exhibiting and demonstrating all of those different mission sets over at the 344 Training Squadron hangar this weekend on Saturday. That'll be a great event. Looking forward to seeing how that goes and how that turns out. Very exciting to see all the different things that are going on here in our tech training group as well. So good stuff. And then the Air Force Academy. So most people don't realize we have a very close relationship and partnership with the United States Air Force Academy. Our basic military training MTIs host cadets that are becoming part of the cadre that are going to train the inbound cadets there. And so they come here and they learn from our MTIs, which of course where else would you learn?
Best of the best.
When it comes to learning about basic military training and the training environment. So we have 90 of them coming out of the installation, and they'll be spread across our 10 BMT squadrons. So that's really exciting to have them. So thanks to BMT and thanks to United States Air Force Academy, we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity too to mentor some future officers who are going to go out and lead, you know, larger teams in the operational Air Force. So it's a great to get our military training instructors linked up with them as they push forward. So,
yeah, absolutely. And you came from Maxwell, so you understand they had OTS there,
yes,
they
sir.
had MTIs there.
Yeah.
So you know, force development is what we're all about here, and so we continue to not only do that here in Air Education and Training Command, but also the United States Air Force Academy as well.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And then we have a key spouse. Our quarterly key spouse update is coming up. We've sent out numerous invitations to all our key spouses out there that want to participate. By and large, it will be a virtual event, but we're going to host it. We're going to talk about some different types of activities that are going on out there. We've got we'll share some lessons learned We're going to highlight some superior performing key spouses. We're going to do a little bit of a state of the wing, all the different things that are going on in the wing, and we just look forward to the key spouses and just thank them so much for what they do each and every day to support our squadrons. It's not just support, it is direct operations. When it comes to Winter Storm Uri, for example, which is something we're going to talk about with the key spouses next week, they were operationally very, very relevant and very, very needed. And so that's really cool. It's really cool to have them coming out.
Yeah, definitely, boss. And yeah, the wing spouse, the key spouse program is meant to have a spouse embedded in the organizational command teams throughout. So they are a member of the commander's staff, and they help them get the word out to our spouses and family members who may not be on the .mil domain. So very important part of the command team.
Yeah, General Goldfein, our last chief of staff, that was what he was. He really spread that message that key spouses are part of our command teams.
Yeah.
They're not an extension. They're literally part of it, and so we're looking forward to having them and hear about all the great things they're doing and telling them the things that's going on in our wing.
Yeah.
Including a carnival, which took place last week.
Yeah, it was a great event. Great to see everyone getting out there, and COVID as we start calming down, we need to start getting back to the social aspect of being a part of this, because that's a large part of being in this. We're in the cloth of our nation is the social aspect that comes along with it, and I'm just excited to. I mean, even like events like you all put on today, there's a large social aspect to it that it's important, to connect people, to bring people back together. So the Spring Carnival was a great at doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We continue to evolve as the COVID environment, as the public health environment changes, and so along those lines, everybody notices we are not wearing masks. That is intentional, that is deliberate, that is because of the new COVID protocols that are in place that takes into account vaccinations and different things like that. So we are here today and doing that, but the Joint Base has changed the COVID protocols so that those that are convening in group environments with vaccinations in place will be able to have a little bit more autonomy to operate without necessarily always having to comply with the CDC guidelines and protocols. So some big changes there on that front too. So, hey, Chief, I don't know that we have any one question set up, but I know that we are getting a lot of questions in general about in-person BMT graduation.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So
the team's been coming together, and they're talking through, what's the best, what's the safest way for us to get back to an in-person. And there's a lot of risk analysis and discussions that need to happen, because this isn't just a 37th training wing thing or a 737th training group event. This is a whole of Joint Base San Antonio event, because we really depend on our mission partners with the 502nd, the defenders. There's just so many moving parts, and we're really taking a good look at what it takes to pull this off in a safe, COVID-friendly, physical distancing type environment, so that we can actually get family members back in the stands at the Fingston Reception Center. So.
I mean, and thanks, Chief. Perfect, great words. And we want to do that. That's
Definitely.
not something we don't want to keep families at arm's length. Unfortunately, we have to work into that. And so as we go through the public health protocols, making sure that the trainees are safe, making sure that the operational mission, because our trainees that are graduating, becoming airmen, are going to the next step in their training. And if we don't have safety protocols in place and we push them into the next step of training, potentially you can shut that training school down. So we got to be very careful. So to our families out there, you all are being heard loud and clear. We are hearing you. We understand that you want to come back. We know you want to come back. We know you're getting antsy. People are getting vaccinated. And we are looking at that very closely. And as soon as we have an announcement in terms of when our first in-person graduation is going to be, we will let you know.
With as much notice as we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I just want to footstep something that you said, boss, is that we don't have a date in mind yet, because there are a lot of moving parts to it. But as soon as we know, we'll definitely let you all know.
Yeah, what we do know, and anybody that's watched the news has seen that the Army has started a beta test.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can safely assume that our ROEs are going to be very similar to their ROEs. So parents out there, we don't have a date yet. But if you're looking at having your son or daughter, brother, sister, spouse, who's heading into that training environment, it's probably a good idea to get vaccinated, because there will be vaccination requirements to get into the graduation ceremonies, at least initially for the foreseeable future. So that'll be required. The other side is it'll probably be limited to 2 people per training, based on capacity of our Fingston Reception Center and still having some public health protocols in place. So At any rate, I think that's all we've got to share
Yeah.
this week. We've apologies. Hopefully the audio is good on this. We're projecting as loud as we possibly can, but outside it doesn't always take. But at any rate, thanks to Miss Brittany Warwick for setting this up from our Public Affairs Office, and Master Sergeant Cody Flieger for being our wind wall over here, looking here, smiling. But anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Had a great week. Look forward to another great week next week. And thanks, gentlemen, for being a part of
definitely.
Freeform
Thanks.
Friday. All right, Warhawks trained to win.